I'm building a crazy steampunk city in Minecraft Survival. Last episode I placed over 40,000 blocks building a massive custom mesa and a giant bridge to connect it to the base. But I'm nowhere near done. Today we have a huge expansion into the new area with a library and 2 other very special builds. So let's get back into AD's adventure. But first, there was one thing at the end of last episode that I hadn't fully finished, and that was I'd built this massive mesa section, but the part of it that went over the water wasn't connected up, so it was just floating, and that just isn't good enough. So between episodes, I have been working hard connecting this to the ground and using the fact that this is in a coral reef to make it look really good. So when you bone meal anything that's in a coral reef area, you can actually get these corals growing on it as well, which is how you make coral farms. But yeah, really like how this is done, and when you swim through it's really colourful, but also in the spirit of having this giant archway over here, if we head this way, I've created a little swimway to come through here, which comes out on this side, and also if we swim round has an exit just here as well on the edge of the reef. I do need to probably add some corals in manually to connect this up a little bit. But yeah, it's so colourful down here and it really does look like it's organic and part of the atmosphere. And what's more, I have got loads of space inside these, which is still flooded, but I might dry them out using some sponges at some point, that if I need to, I can build some things inside. So that gives a lot more realism to this build that I didn't quite have time to finish off, but it's all done and I'm really happy with it. Something else that I'm really happy with is I've now decorated the entrance to my amethyst geode. So we've just got a simple amethyst roof, simple floor, and I've taken all of the terracotta out that came through in the walls and just added the same pattern with the stone bricks and the andesite coming all the way down here. And in the geode itself, I've done the same. So I've tidied up all of the walls and just made it look a little bit more consistent here. I did take out 1 or 2 of these amethyst clusters. There were too many around, too many close to the roof, and I noticed that I've missed a couple of spots, so I'll tidy those up. But overall, this is much nicer to look at now and fits in far more with the base. And it's the next expansion of the base that we're going to start working on now. So I brought the road out through this far at the end of last episode, and I need to carry this road on, and it's going to go round and link up with the dock down there. But I've got a lot of unsightly sand and some other things that I need to shift around, like this beacon that is now no longer needed because there's one in here. And I also need to, because I clearly haven't forgotten about the canal, bring that through. So that's going to go through an underground tunnel eventually and come out in this pool before carrying on to the sea. So it's time for me to get digging. Now that digging's complete, I've tidied up the edge of this cliff and started adding a little bit of detailing for the canal bed. I now need to add all of the walls and continue the pathways going through this way. So I've collected up some resources here and in my inventory, and it's now time to get building. A little block placing later, and the first stage is now complete, and our road now comes right the way round here, round this corner, and this is where it's going to continue off in the future. But this position here is going to be where we are going to have our library, and then there's going to be a building coming out of this cliff and another one over here. So I now need to go and first of all put away all the stuff that I don't any longer need for making this section and start collecting up some more resources. I'm in the process of trading up some emeralds with my farmer villagers so I can buy myself some glass and some bookshelves, and you will all be very, very pleased to see that the absolute nightmare fuel that was the eyeless villagers have now been fixed. Thanks very much to Kectix on my Discord for giving me the fix for this. Really, really pleased to get the animations back because it does add so much more life to the build. But now I really do have to get hold of a lot of emeralds because I want to buy a lot of bookshelves. Now all that trading's done, I have got a whole bunch of bookshelves, and I thought I'd stock up on glass whilst I was here. The other thing that I've done is, because I'm going to be upgrading at some point and I don't want any villager changes to impact these guys, is stocking up on some of the books, particularly the ones that I'm going to need lots of, like the Unbreaking books. But going through all of them, I've got at least 9 of everything. Now I'll probably come back and get some more at a later date. But yeah, that's a good trading session. And now to put these with the rest of the materials for the build. Now that my colourful shulker monster is now all set out with everything that I'm going to need inside, it's time for another time lapse. And with that, the library is now complete, and as you will see, I've done a bit of decoration around and added this building down here as well, and that leads to something very, very special that I've also built. But first of all, let's check out the library. If we swing down here onto the dock side, we can come in and there's plenty of books. I've now decorated these just to cover up the sides, because obviously you can just see all sides of a bookshelf. So I've done that and added up these ladders so you can get to the top as well, and just put some decoration all around those. Plenty of books in here, plenty of bookshelves. And then you come through to a little reading area here and another little reading area here as well. And one thing that I'm going to start using a bit more that I haven't really been making the most of is candles. I kind of forget that there's some of the things in Minecraft because you've got so many cool lighting things now, like the lanterns and stuff. But yeah, candles are great for a bit of atmosphere. So we've got this section which has got a whole bunch of bookshelves, and then this lovely stairway that leads us up to another one where this is mainly just bookshelves all the way along here, but we've got this huge window at the front, so again we can look out, see up to the cathedral, see the bridge that we have over there, and that is probably going to stay as an uninterrupted view in the future, and we can see again across to this giant cog here as well. So one of the things that I do in this base is try and make sure that there is always a view from everything that is being built. And that can also be seen from coming out here on this little balcony section, so you can see all the way around, and we'll be able to see through into some of the new builds that are going to be around there and round into the base itself. So yeah, really, really pleased with how this has turned out. We've got, as I say, this little seated bit, but there is more to show you. If I head down this way and through here, that other building actually connects up to a little stairway, and what we have here is a little apartment. So this is the chief librarian's apartment for the library itself. As you can see, they've got a big desk here with a book on there and various different bits and pieces, some contraptions, and their very own bookcase. This is for the rare and special books. I will at some point come through and just add a whole bunch of books into some of these gaps just to make it look a little bit more filled up. And if we come through here, we've got a little bit of amethystine here and a lovely little bedroom here. But there's a downstairs as well. So this is a fully inclusive little apartment building. So you've got a little cooking area with some smelters and an oven and just some storage, some more machinery, some tools and things like that. And then coming round here into just a living room, very much in a similar style to what we have in the submarine and also in the storage area. And as you will see, we've got huge windows here, and this is going to look underwater. So we're going to have some corals, we're going to have some nice things around here, just some interest going on outside, and there are some windows that go all the way through this. So we come up here as well, and there's another one here, and then the top of this window. So yeah, this is going to be a really, really cool little area for people to explore. So if you are interested in checking out this world, I will be launching a new download for my patrons after this episode, so check out the link in the description if that's something that is of interest to you, and you will be able to check out this and all the other fantastic builds in Adie's Adventure. So this comes out here, and this is where the new builds are going to be. We're going to have one here and one just over here. The one here is going to be another factory, as is this, but they're going to be linked together in a slightly special way. So I will get building those in a little while. But up here on the cliff, we have something that does need to be talked about, and that is the cathedral. As you can see, it looks amazing, especially with the sun lining up just behind it. It's almost like I did that on purpose, but I assure you it was a complete coincidence. But if we head backwards in through this door, it is very empty now, and I am not a big fan of leaving any of my builds empty for too long. So I am going to be looking to get an interior in this, and this is a very, very big build. Has a lot to actually get put inside for this. So now I need to get hold of some resources. And partway through the collection, I am getting most of the stuff that I do need, but it is taking a long time because there's so many different things and things like candles that I've needed to craft up. But I've been getting very distracted by a few things as well in the base, just because when I'm here I look around and I'm like, oh, I could just change that. One of the things is I've changed this conveyor belt so it's much more colourful using some of the new woods, and I'm really much more pleased with how this has turned out. I also got very bored going down from this end of the base to this end of the base to actually get back up to the top level, which is the only quick way to do it in the Bubble Vator. So I have adjusted my design slightly. This slime container is now a Bubble Vator that takes me right the way up to the top of the base and brings me out here so that I can get stuff or just drop down to the other levels. And it also comes out down here, so it gives me a way from outside the actual storage system to get in as well. And I think it looks pretty cool now that that's there. Just as an extra big pipe running into this makes the whole thing look more steampunk, so really pleased with that. But now I do have to get back to collecting some of the resources, namely heading off to get some more cobbled deep slate, because I am starting to use a lot of this and run a bit low. I've only got a few double chests, so I've bought a bunch of shulker boxes over to my mining machine. So I hit this note block and it pumps out some TNT and then blows itself a nice little hole. I just run around and pick up the resources. Job's a good one. Another big plus side is all of the diamonds. Awesome. And with all the deep slate in tow, I headed back to the base to get the rest of the items ready for the interior. And here they are, many shulker boxes full of all of the things that I'll be needing to get this interior done. And I'm going to be doing this in phases and checking in as we do. And the first stage is going to be down at this far end. Quite a bit of building later, and the first section is in place, and this includes the pulpit and some coverage for some machinery behind. I'll show you the whole thing once I've finished building everything, but now I'm going to be building into these two wings. After some winging it, now that one side section and the other side section are now completed, and I have put in the airship that's going to be in this build as well, that's come through this hole, I can clear out all the scaffolding and finish the rest of the interior. And finally, the cathedral interior and cathedral as a whole is now fully complete, and I could not be more happy with the result. First of all, I've added some decoration to the exterior of the build. Nothing too crazy because I wanted it to keep as much like a cathedral as possible. However, I did want to bring it a bit more in line with some of the other builds that we have in the steampunk area, with the cables going around and connecting up and the pipes. So I've done that, and that took quite a while, just trying to scaffold up and find the right places, but really pleased with how that's worked. And then to the inside of the cathedral itself, if we come in through the main door and shut that, then you can see this visual that you get with these braziers, and I absolutely love this really simple design, but just the light that provides and the way that it draws your eye down there. Also the hole there that's been utilized by the steampunk airship that's made its way in, and obviously they do need to back in, but they're an airship, so that's pretty easy. And this is just, yeah, it's probably my favorite interior that I've done so far, with the pews and with the little details. I've just tried to keep it as in line with the interior of a cathedral that you would find in reality, but obviously throwing in some things that tie it into the steampunk area. So we've got all of these bookcases and these little waiting areas, including this one, and I've had great fun with all of the straw statues here, where you've clearly got a grandparent telling off their grandchild, and the grandchild's clearly saying something like, I didn't do anything wrong, but just it adds so much life to the build. We've got these pews here, so these are the places where all of the local residents can come and sit, and then giving a sermon, we have one of the channel viewers here as well. And what else would he be giving a sermon on apart from Amethystine? Because of course, this is the cathedral to Amethystine, and the book that they're looking at is the Book of Amethystine. So that really ties into the lore that we've got in the area. At the side here, we've got some little sections where candles can be lit, where books can be picked up and dropped off, obviously with the Amethystine clusters there. And then into this section, the side entrances here, we've got a slime pod and a honey pod on each side that are pumping the slime and honey into some generators that are sitting in the columns that are keeping these braziers going, along with anything else that needs to be powered. The one other thing that I've done in here, first of all, I have made sure that you can get up the towers, and there are some brilliant views from up here where you can see out to the new area that we've built, and this one in particular where you can see across to the new plateau with the big bridge that we built last episode. And then down behind the pulpit, we've got this fantastic colourful design that ties into the lore and also ties into some of the other colour little pops that we've got around, like the amethystine and the crimson trapdoors. So really love that. But that's not all. We come into the back here through this double door, behind the curtain, so to speak, and this is where it's all happening. So here we have an engineer who is controlling the rotation of this cathedral, because obviously this has been built on a giant cog so that it can turn around to face in any of the 4 directions. So if it does need to turn to face these worker houses or anybody arriving from the airship dock, it can make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get in through the front door and hear the story of amethystine. And now for something very different indeed. And for this, I am going to need some of these things, some leads. I am going to have to go and collect myself and bring back a couple of cows. And that is because these are going to be vital for one of the builds over by the library area. Don't worry, all will be revealed. So luckily I've not needed to come very far from where I was. In fact, I was just recording the last bit down there. And on this hill, as you will see, we have one cow and there is another one just chilling out around here. There he is. So this, a third one, perfect. So this gives me all of the cows that I need. Now I've just got to get them safely down there, and I'm going to do that with the power of boats. I repeated that a couple more times, and now all 3 cows are here. I need to get the rest of the resources so I can build them their forever home. Everything is set out and ready to go, so let's do this in the form of a time lapse. Now the builds are fully decorated, but before I show you all around, there are 2 more small things that I need to do. One of them is to get these cows into place, but before I do that, I need to get myself a couple of villagers here and turn them into leather workers, and also get their trades down. So let's get going. And a quick shot with an arrow of weakness and a golden apple, and the same for this guy over here, gets the 2 of them healing up nicely. Whilst they've been healing, I've been building a lovely dirt railway off into the distance to take them to their new forever homes. After a couple more cycles and some trading to get these guys up to master level, they're ready to go. So I now just press this button and off he goes, right the way round to the milk factory. After tidying the dirt track and bringing the cows for a walk, and this area is now complete, and I must admit I absolutely love this area with all of the little details that are in there, and I'll show you some of those in a second. First of all, we've got the big slime pipes going into this cliff now, with some decoration on here and a giant slime hopper on top. Then down here we've got the other entrance to the librarian's apartments underneath. And as you can see, I've now also decorated in the water here. So we've got some nice coral for the librarian to look out onto, and some dripstone hanging from here as well. So yeah, really lovely colourful area lit up with some of the sea pickles. And this goes right the way through into this water hole. It just like this very, very deep hole it seems to go into the ground. But yeah, that's really, really cool that I'll be able to build there next time. And I've also made sure that there is, of course, a ladder for when I inevitably fall out into the water. And we've also got this little crane that's being operated here as well. So yeah, those are just some of the little details, but the main events are over here. First of all, we have the milk factory, and we've got this really cool design that I came up with for these milk urns with the daylight sensors on top. And if we come in here, there's somebody operating the machinery, And we have the big milking machine with the cows down here. So these cows are now happily there. They can be fed whenever they want with the hay here by these 2 leather workers, who are also available for me to buy any of the tunics or any of the leather armor that I want, some horse armor and saddles, even though I can get the saddles from my raid farm. But yeah, I just love this all of the little details in here, with this pipe coming up, being suspended from the roof and just pumping the milk into this big tank, and that then gets pumped outside as well. I've also got some buckets of milk just in case I need those to get rid of any status effects. And then when that comes out here, we can see we've got this really cool sump to hold all of the extra milk that we have there, with some more of the milk churns, and yeah, just some more decoration going through, connecting this into the area. So of course, what can you have if you have a milk farm? Well, the obvious thing is a chocolate milk farm as well. So we've got a slight variation then of the urns, and of course these have got the different top on because these are the chocolate milk filled urns rather than the regular milk filled urns. And yeah, the colour of this terracotta just works brilliantly as chocolate milk. As we come in here, we've got the machine that is pumping some of the milk in from the outside. There is another big sump of milk on the outside that is being drained to come in here, and that is then being mixed in with some cocoa beans, and you can see that the milk is turning chocolatey here and then gets stored in this giant vat outside. So that's really cool. I love that. And again, we've got lots of details in here, like the milk churns on the top, milk urns rather, on the top. And here we also have a little farm. So this is just a farm where you can automatically farm yourself some cocoa beans. So when you switch the farm on like so, it starts firing some of the bone meal. Then you just press both buttons and it refills your inventory and drops any spare ones as they're being grown into the chest beneath. So this is a much better way than I had before, where I was manually farming these to just be able to get loads and loads of cocoa beans. So yeah, that is obviously then turned, because the cocoa beans are put into this chest, ground up through here into this, and then mixed in with the milk. So yeah, absolutely adore that little touch. And there's loads of other things as well. My favorite being this person who is crying over spilt chocolate milk. So you can see that one of the milk urns has fallen over, the lid's come off, and we've got a spill of chocolate milk coming all the way around here. And there we've got the other little milk urn here as well. Love the details in this build particularly. It did take a long time to decorate and come up with all of these ideas, but I really do like how that's turned out. And of course, it links up the road so we can head into the Amethyst Cave as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. And I look for, wait a second. What's that noise? I can hear, can you hear that? There's definitely something coming from this direction. But why on earth would there be a noise coming from the Amethyst Cave?